We are on and at it. I can't see it online, but I see. There we are. If anybody's popping on online now, maybe I can see you there. Okay. My phone broke. My things are changing. It's a great morning, though. It's April 1st. No fooling you here today.
Your phone's broken. Your things are changing.
My things are changing.
Is that a seasonal thing?
Things are changing.
Okay.
Always.
We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. Well, things are changing every day. And I'm not just talking about UND. So anyway, whoa, yikes. Okay. Anyway, hi. Welcome.
How you doing?
Oh, happy April Fools. No fools today. Keep your head on a swivel, folks, because there's a lot of shenanigans out there.
Oh, yeah, I've got a ripped shirt.
Ripped shirt?
That's what I was told this morning.
Oh.
And, of course, I fell for it. I looked at it.
You got April
A
Fools.
lady right out there did it to me. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. One of our mall walkers.
I did not tell my 5, almost 6-year-old about April Fools because I was like, oh, we're never going to get out the door because everything's gonna be April Fools. So I was like, oh, I brushed my teeth, April Fools. So,
Yep.
But it is April 1st. So excited to be here. I am keeping my fingers crossed we are not going to be getting any snow. So if you're not in the Grand Cities area, they are predicting a little bit of snow coming our way, and I say no way. So we will keep our fingers crossed it's not happening. And big things happening this weekend. So I've got a very important guest here. I will get to her in 1 second once I get through all the stuff here. But this is Put a Fork in It, Grand Forks' most exciting and sometimes talked about video and podcast streaming show. My name's Courtney Barstead Logan. I'm a realtor here in the Grand Cities with eXp Realty. You can find me on social media at Grand Cities Living. You can find the podcast on Grand Cities Living on YouTube. And then, hey, my friend Coach Mausch told me again, this week she was just catching up on episodes on her favorite podcast site. So you can just cruise around town and listen to us on there if you miss anything here today. So whatever tickles your fancy.
What a great idea.
What a great idea, right? Just catching up. So all the things. And a disclaimer, if you find anything that you need to contact my broker about today, please feel free to hit her up at exprealty.com. So without further ado, I'm so excited. One of the coolest events is happening this week. And so I have my friend, my sister in the bond, and the queen of Safe Kids, Carma Hanson, here in studio. Good morning.
Wow, I get the applause.
I know. She's like a regular in here, you know.
I know. And she hasn't been in on my show for a while.
No.
It's been a long time, Courtney.
So don't steal all the info now.
Yeah, okay, sorry.
No, she won't
Yeah.
be back with us for a while yet. So.
Yeah.
So I have to tell you, our web designer, who's been with us for like 20 years, is quitting that part of her job. She's got another full-time job, and she lives in Bismarck. And so we are looking to transition our website. And I was talking to a new web designer the other day, and I said, you know, we've talked about like overhauling our Safe Kids Grand Forks website, but it's a major project, right? And we're like, we keep waiting for a slow time a year to have some downtime to be able to do that big project. It just doesn't exist
There is
anymore.
no such thing. Yep.
No, we cover so many risk areas that there's never a slow time.
Well,
and you can't take a vacation from safety.
No.
There is no vacation from safety,
Right.
friends. See, I love that. I've seen this meme, and it's applicable to Safe Kids. This is with moms, but it says, you know, you just continuously tell each other like, next week's gonna be a little bit more calm, right? and then there you are, just keep on keeping on.
Yep,
So,
keep on keeping on.
Yes. Well, we are talking about one of the coolest events that Safe Kids sponsors. It's the Hands-On Learning Fair, which is this Saturday.
Except I got to interrupt you, Courtney. We have some big news.
Oh.
Hands-On Learning Fair had to be canceled.
What?
April Fool's.
Yeah, I got it. John told me to.
Oh, come on.
But you know what? Like, Karma, with you, there would be no... I'd be like, that's fine. All right, moving on. Let's talk about car seats, you know? Yeah.
You know, here's the deal. She's like, I go, wow, you know, Courtney's usually here by now. And I said, she would have texted me. And so she was on her phone, and I go, oh, crap, she texted and she's not coming. What? April Fool. I burned her, got her good.
I know, and then I said, okay, you played that game. I said I was going to tell Courtney that the event was canceled as an April Fool, and he goes, you got to do it. I wasn't going to, but then I decided.
I thought you were going to be like, we're going to have it for 2 days.
No,
that would've been better, yeah.
but we are taking 2 arenas.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is going big. So it's at Purpur Arena.
It is. So the Purpur and the Gambucci are attached.
Yep.
And last year we expanded it from 3 hours to 4 hours because a lot of parents would come right away at 10 o'clock in the morning and they're like, there's so many activities. We
couldn't
can't
hit
even
'em all.
get through it all.
Yep.
And so we said to our vendors and our volunteers, could you give us 1 more hour at a time? And they were all about that. So we extended it from 10 to 2. Well, one of the other things we noted last year where there were so many people and the
Kinda
Grand Forks
squishy in there.
Squishy,
Yep.
yeah. Grand Forks Optimists come in and they set up a bike rodeo, which is like an obstacle course where kids learn how to stop and start and use their hand signals and do all the things. And it kind of was in the center of things, and we felt like it could have been bigger. And this year, AAA Motor Clubs of North Dakota, Minnesota are our sponsor, and they said, yes, go ahead and rent the second arena.
Wow.
So
How about
we are
that?
setting up the bike rodeo in that area, so we'll have 2 spaces.
Ooh. All right.
So a bigger rodeo.
A
if
bigger
you will.
rodeo. Yeah.
I
Yep.
love
Yep.
that. I love that.
Yeah.
So tell us if you are new to the hands-on learning fair. Welcome, and you do not want to miss this. And I don't care if you are a caregiver, grandparent, sibling, anybody that's got a little. Tell us a little bit more about what this is, and then I can rave about all my favorites.
Yeah. So the event actually started in 1993. A gal named Judy Milovitz, who is from Grand Forks, worked in the early childhood education kind of arena, said, you know what, we need an event in which we can teach parents and kids how to learn in a way other than just putting them in front of a television. And it talked about those early years and how formative they are and how creativity and all that kind of stuff you can do with things within your home. Learning things, play, it can be fun, it can be educational, and it doesn't have to cost a lot of money. And so they started this event called the Hands-On Learning Fair. And we at Safe Kids, we're doing a Safe Kids Day on a Saturday in April, sometimes the same Saturday, sometimes different. And we finally just decided to merge them together into one event. And so a few years ago, the Hands-On Learning Fair people said, would you guys just take this event over? And we agreed to do that. So it's called the Hands-On Learning Fair by Safe Kids Grand Forks. It's geared for kids kind of 10 and under, and we say bring grandparents, parents, come in, and you'll learn a lot, but kids are going to learn through play and activities and engaging with the things that we have there to teach them about safety.
Yeah, it's super cool because for me, the first time I went, we got to see everything from things that we see at, for example, my parents' cabin, right? You've got the ATVs there. The kids can see those big things, but then you've also got the things that are at their home, the bikes, the medication, safety pieces with that, the life jackets.
Yep.
Yeah, and having all of that. And you can move. The kids have, I feel like they don't know and understand that it's an educational fair.
Yep.
They think.
Yep.
It's, you kind of get a little treat at everything. It's a sticker. It's a,
Yep.
Whatever. But the vendors do such a great job of saying like, hey, let's walk through this. Do you have these in your home? Or, what are these things? It's pretty cool.
Yeah, we partner with the North Dakota nursing students, and we'll have 30 of them there on Saturday, and that helps us to be able to have as many educational booths as we do. But we tend to put 2 people at each booth because one of them is oftentimes doing the activity with the kids and engaging in that game or play, where the other student is doing the educational piece with the parents. So, for example, gun safety, we're going to have an activity where kids are going to pick out which guns, the pictures of guns are real and which ones are pretend, and put them in separate piles. Only, I'll clue you in, they're actually all real guns.
Oh.
But
Wow.
a lot of them look like play ones.
Yeah.
But the kids will be doing that activity. And so the message to kids is kind of that Eddie the Eagle message of stop, don't touch, leave the area, tell an adult. That's what we're going to be teaching them. To the adults, it's going to be a different message of lock these things up, keep the ammunition and the guns in separate places. And, if you've got guns in your home, learn how to store them properly, right? So kind of different messaging. But kids are going to learn that through interactive games, play, things like that, where they're having fun and they don't even realize they're learning.
Yeah, yeah. And it's so cool because I think also as the adult or the person in charge, you're going through and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I remember the firefighters one. They've got a simulation where the kids can put out the fire and do that. But my mind when I was there was like, I should change the batteries in our smoke alarms, and having those little pieces for the adults, it's so engaging. You can go from booth to booth. There's not one where the kids say like, oh, that's not for me.
Yep.
And it's, I think the Children's Museum was there last time. So there's just different kind of, I would say also sensory
Absolutely.
activities going on. So
Absolutely. And you mentioned sensory things last year, and I missed out on them. Courtney, I have a little grandson, so I'm not missing that this year. But I went to get my credit card, and I got pulled to help with something at the event, and I never got back to it. But there was a vendor there that had like these little plastic boxes with games and sensory and activity things in it that you could buy pre-made.
Yeah.
That they'll be selling things like that. There's also a vendor that's come that has sold like baby blankets and swaddles and breastfeeding covers and things like that, or car seat covers. So we will have people there selling things, but the event itself is free. There's no admission charge. I would also say bring your wallet because we have extended it to 4 hours. We have offered, we're going to have food this year where a group from the Grand Forks Air Force Base Fire Department is going to be offering a lunch special. It's hot dogs, chips, and water. And then Cool Creations will be there with their cotton candy and their snow cones. So you got to treat the kids to a little bit of sugar, right?
Of course, yes. I was just gonna say, are we gonna have Cool Creations there?
Yep,
So,
they are.
yeah,
They are.
so
Yeah.
they have to be there.
Interesting, Courtney, you talked about the fire, station, and they did the putting out the fire with the fire extinguisher thing. This year, we're going to have them focus actually on what does a fireman look like and what do they sound like. Kids have been known to hide under the bed or in a closet when fire people come because they sound scary. You think about the breathing apparatus that they wear, and it can sound like a monster or something scary. So kids are going to have the chance to dress up in fireman costumes this year. That'll be something kind of new and fun. We have I was talking about the gun safety one. The Sheriff's Department will be giving away free gun locks.
Okay.
At our medication station, we're going to have free sharps containers. So if you are a diabetic or, taking fertility drugs or, maybe migraines or allergy meds or whatever, we'll have free sharps containers and cabinet locks that you can get. So every family that comes in will get a bag that has a few, educational things, and then they can collect stuff along the way.
Oh my gosh, and collect stuff you will. Yes. Oh my gosh, so much stuff. We left with coloring books and stickers, activity things, but really thinking through the stuff that, like, we are headed into spring and summer, and that's life jackets, it's the outdoor things, it's the bike helmets, it's all of that stuff where you think, oh my gosh, does this still fit, right? We were putting the bike helmet on the other day. I'm like, I think that still fits you. Good.
Well, and we will have all of those items there for sale. And when we say for sale, our goal is not to sell products. Our goal is to teach people how to use it and encourage the use and make sure it is fit right. Interestingly enough, you go into Target or Walmart or a store like that and try to buy a bike helmet, and parents will stand there and kind of scratch their head like, I don't know how to fit this. Or they'll put on the box that it's by age. It has nothing to do with the age. It's about the head circumference. And I've fit younger kids with larger size helmets than I fit the adults with. So we're there to provide the education about, do life jackets expire? Do bike helmets expire? How do you know if they work? How do you know if they fit? And so we will have those things there. And, you talked about it's important every spring. Kids grow over the winter. Is their head size the same? Is their weight the same? Do they wear the same size life jacket? We'll help with having those items there. Very easy to purchase them from us, and we'll get them fitted right for you.
And that, you brought that up because the life jackets, I think it was last year, I got to help with the Kids Don't Float event, which you just held again. And this year I need to, maybe my mom's listening today, but we're going to go throw all the life jackets at the lake, and we're probably going to throw away 75% of them because they do expire. Those amazing ones from the 80s,
Yes.
That we
Yes.
have in the back of the cabin, right? Those do expire.
Yeah, well, and expire might not be the right word. I would say they lose their buoyancy.
Yes.
Because like a car seat has an actual expiration date on it where you can't use it beyond that date.
Yeah.
Life jackets, while they don't expire, they do get old. And we always tell people that you don't want to find out that your life jacket isn't buoyant when you're out in the middle of the lake in
Right.
deep water. So what we say is, since there's not that expiration date on them, put them on, walk out to kind of chest or shoulder height water and lift your feet up and make sure they float. And some of them that you're talking about that your mom might have, the padding in it gets hard and they won't float anymore. They look
Yeah.
fine, but they don't actually float the people.
Yeah.
So check them each spring. The other thing is a lot of times those are stored in boathouses where they might get poked with fish hooks, or the mice might get them. And if there's any sign of like holes on them or the buckle not working right, it is time to replace them.
It's time, my
Yeah.
friends. It's
Yeah.
time. And now's a great time. We're seeing all this stuff out, the bike helmets, the bikes. We were out cruising this weekend with the training wheels and ready to rip. But just remembering the vehicles and the size of the kids and just all of that, it's just such a great time to go to Hands-On Learning Fair. If we do get that snow, it's a great time for the kids, something to do. But give yourself a good amount of time. Don't say we're going to pop in for 30 minutes, because you're going to be dragging your kids out of there screaming.
Yeah, because we've had people who come at 1 and then they're still wanting to keep going. And by 2 o'clock, our vendors have had a really long day.
Yeah.
They set up on Friday and they come early in the morning to get ready. And so we are done at 2. We will shut things down at 2. So you won't have enough time to get through. But I will say, because of that extended hour on there, we did add the food piece in so people can choose that as an option. The other thing, we have new this year, a very dedicated nursing, feeding, diaper changing area. So if you are there a little bit longer, that you've got a nice place you can do that, rather than just going into the bathrooms. And you'll see people there with strollers and carrying kids and kids
Wagons,
walking and all that. And it's a very safe environment.
Yep.
You come in the west door of the Purpur, and really that's really kind of the only way out. So it's a very contained area, and it'll be a lot of fun for the kids.
Exciting. Good. So anything new this year? I know you kind of changed things up, like you said, with the fire. Anything new other than we've got the big bike rodeo, which is going to be fantastic, but
We'll have the bike rodeo there. Like I said, the fire people are changing up their stuff a little bit.
Yep.
We also are going to be doing a really cool display. You maybe seen it on social media, where places like Shields or places that sell swimwear talk about how the color of your swimwear matters, right? If you're, you have somebody that's lost or underwater in the pool or in a lake, and how the different colors look different. We've got some mannequins that we got. JCPenney's was kind enough to loan us some mannequins, and we're going to show the differences in the colors and how, the brighter colors would be more visible in the water. We're also going to show how we've got an activity with a bucket, and we put a swimsuit in it and say, okay, it weighed this much before we put it in the water, and then we've got a scale that we're going to lift up and show how much water it gained in when it was in the bucket, showing that a swimming suit is meant to shed water, as opposed to if you were to jump in the water with a hooded sweatshirt and blue jeans on, how that becomes 3 to 4 to 5 times heavier, and that's going to pull you down in the water. And so showing how important it is that if you are getting in the water, that you've got swim clothing on made out of material that's going to shed it, not suck it in. And then we've also got some kind of culturally appropriate swimmer for people who, maybe their culture or customs say, you can't wear a bikini or a one-piece suit, but there is swimwear that is made that covers the head or covers more of the body. And so we're going to have that on display this year.
awesome. Very cool. That's something that I took last year. You all were posting, and if you're not following Safe Kids Grand Forks, it's Safe Kids Grand Forks on Facebook.
Yep.
And they do a great job with different tips and tricks, and it's so good to see that, because it just gives you that reminder of like, oh yeah, I need to do that, or like as I'm shopping for swimming suits, I don't need the teal and the blue and the green ones. The brighter, the better, and throwing those in. So follow them on social media. I know you've got information on the Hands-On Learning Fair, so if you're driving and you're like, wow, I've got I've got all kinds of questions.
Yeah, so we have our Safe Kids Grand Forks Facebook page, but we also have a separate page dedicated strictly to the Hands-On Learning
Yes.
Fair.
Okay.
And so we'll be doing some teasers on there about what's going to be covered on Saturday on that separate
Event.
Hands-On Learning Fair event page. And, you talked about, earlier, there are topics that will be covered there. Some of them you know about, like, right, it's summertime, you're going to the lake, you need to get a life jacket, or your kid goes out and they're riding bike, they need a helmet. But there are also a lot of what I call you don't know what you don't know topics. We'll have some of our students there, our nursing students, are going to be talking about button batteries and what things are they contained in. How do you safely put those products, keep them safe within your home? TV remotes or key fobs or garage door openers or things like that, bathroom scales that have them in. And what do you do if a child actually ingests it, right? So we'll have people, sharing about those. Maybe you didn't even think you needed to know about this topic.
Yeah.
We've got car seat technicians, and I know, it's 4 days of training to become a car seat
Crazy.
tech, and parents will come up to that booth with questions about things that, you need that expertise.
Yep.
And while we're not doing a car seat checkup event on Saturday, we have a ton of those coming up throughout the summer, but they'll answer your question about how do I know if my kid's big enough to come out of a car seat, or can I move them from rear facing to forward facing? And so a lot of experts that are there to share their time on Saturday too, to help parents feel a little more comfortable in that job of parenting.
Yes, and these kids don't come with a manual, and so the thing that I love most about Safe Kids is you can come with the questions, and you're not met with the like, how did you not know that, or where is that? And that can be on their website. You can cruise that 24 hours a day. Facebook, like I said, they're gonna put out that information. Or if you go to the Hands-On Learning Fair, it's gonna be great because you're gonna have all these people sharing information in it is a judgment-free, here's some information, and if you have questions, now's the time to ask. They want you to ask these questions.
Yep.
They want those questions. They're not here to judge you because maybe you're using the wrong helmet or whatever. What a good time to come and learn.
Courtney, I took over as a Safe Kids coordinator 29 years ago, and I heard about these things called car seat checks. And I thought, we should do one in town. And we didn't have any techs. We had 2 people come from Bismarck and do an event. I was in charge of the event. It was at ID's, if you guys remember ID's on South Washington. And at the end of the event, I had a child in a car seat. And at the end of the event, it was super busy. And they're like, well, do you want to get your kid's car seat checked? Well, I was a nurse, and I thought I knew what I was doing, right? Yeah. And I'm like, well, yeah, I might as well, because you're here. I want to use your expertise. My kid was in an expired car seat.
Oh, whoops.
Yep, whoops. Yeah. But we didn't talk about that kind of stuff. We didn't know that.
Yeah.
We didn't have the experts here in our community. And I look at that 29 years ago, not even having a tech in town, to now we've got 300 of them across the state. We do these events every single month at Rydell's. We do them every single month at the fire station in East Grand Forks. And if you go to our webpage right now, you're going to be able to look. And we are starting on April 24th. We have one of our first regional summer events out in the Thompson Fire Department, where we are going to all of the smaller communities around the region in Northeast North Dakota and Northwest Minnesota, doing these car seat checkup events, because there is a lot to know. And you're right, parenting does not come with an instruction manual.
No, and I've done the car seat checkup. I've been a tester
Yes.
for you for probably almost 5 years now, because I have a 6-year-old here in a few weeks. And I've got to be honest, I still every time question, what I'm doing, or, if things are in the right spot, and they teach me every time I'm there. And so it's not something that we do, like you had said, you're a nurse, but it's not something that we do on the daily. And so it's such a good refresher.
Well, and interestingly enough, how you use that seat is going to be dependent on the age of the child, right? And their weight and things like that. So what we taught you the last time you were there may have changed because the child has grown up, or weight has changed, or age has changed, or things like that. The other thing I would mention, and this is really pertinent to people in the Grand Cities area, last August, Minnesota changed their child passenger safety law. So if you are driving into East Grand Forks, or driving to the cities, or Moorhead, had, or the lakes in Minnesota, you need to know the law in both of your states. And the Minnesota law is a lot more stringent than that in North Dakota. But yet you as the driver are held responsible to know what that law is. And so if you have questions about the law, you can look it up. You can go to our Facebook page. You can come to that event. And, you know, the thing is, and you're doing a podcast, you have social media. We live in a day and age where you can get information from a lot of places. And a lot of it is great places, right? But there's also a lot of people who don't necessarily know what they're talking about. And it can be really confusing for parents and to who can I trust? And that's been one of the things that Safe Kids has always been about, is being trusted and credible and meeting parents where they're at, that no, there is no dumb question. And we're not going to judge you if you have goldfish and French fries in your car or whatever. It is.
Yeah. And I think that's the biggest thing is where the information comes from, but also like as a parent, you feel like you're drinking from a fire hose, because it's like, did you do this? And then you have the checkups, and then you're supposed to do this. And did you register them for this? And so having that one space, I know when I had a little infant, just even going to the Safe Kids, because I had questions about like crib stuff. And of course I just text Karma, but going to that space and being able to check certain things, you know, whether it's medication, I mean, there's just going to be that information where, you know, this is coming from the source, and you can check that out. So,
well, and I think, you know, the benefit of Safe Kids is that it's, yes, we're based at All True and they're our lead agency, but we are about bringing together anybody from the community or region who has anything to do with keeping kids safe and bringing those experts to the table. And so I'm going to give you an example. Last fall, we got a call from a lady who her child had just been fit with a cranial shaping helmet. And she had researched the best and safest car seat for her kid. But when he got the cranial shaping helmet, she felt like it wasn't fitting well in the seat, and she had concerns. We said, we do a car seat check in East Grand Forks at the fire station. Come over and we'll check it today when we're there. And sure enough, this helmet was such that there was so much thick padding in the side of the car seat, and it was not removable. It was built into the seat, that with the cranial shaping helmet on, the head did not fit between that padding. And it was actually holding the head up from the back of the seat, and it was kind of putting the neck in a position that we were worried about compromising the airway. And so that was kind of not everybody might think about it. That mom did. And it got us to thinking, you know what, while the people in the places, the prosthetics and orthotics department at All True that make these, I'm sure they discuss some of that. We wanted to have something concrete and written and spelled out that they could take home and digest and all that, and teach all the caregivers that work with that kid. So we created a new flyer about that and some education. And so we are always trying to keep our kind of ear to the ground as to what's the newest thing that's out there. When I first started, we weren't talking about button batteries and laundry pods, and now we are. So what are those things that we need to stay attuned to? And that's what our job is to kind of be that expert of those things. And we don't have to know it all. We just need to bring the right people to the table. And that's the beauty of Safe Kids, is that we got a lot of experts in a lot of different areas.
Yeah, you got a lot of good people in your corner, and a lot of information for people. So so if you're new to Safe Kids, if you're new to Grand Forks, if you're new to the Hands-On Learning Fair, the biggest thing I would say is go on Saturday, Purpur Arena, which is essentially on the corner of Washington and Demers, right there, right in the corner there, and from 10 to 2, go and bring a little kiddo. If you are just ready to have a child,
Expectant parents,
or if you're a grandparent who says my grandkids are coming, feel free to go see some of these things, because it is such a good learning experience for everybody. But hit that up. You're going to get a ton of resources there. And then if you're like, I can't come this weekend, go to the Safe Kids Grand Forks website. It's safekidsgf.com.
It is.
And you can see what other events they have coming up, what they're a part of, and then reach out to any of their team if you have questions, if you've got things where you say, I'm not sure. We see it all the time in the moms groups, right?
We do.
I feel like I'm tagging you all the time, like, they can help with that, or here's some information. But
and we appreciate that when people refer people to us, because it's really interesting in some of the moms social media groups where people will start answering the question, and I'm like, yep, that's not right. Or, no, that's misinformation. So we'll usually, Jasmine and I are both part of a lot of those, and we'll jump in and say, we at Safe Kids can help. Here's the answer. And again, it's about being trusted and credible and knowing you're getting it from the right source. Because, you know, my gosh, there's so many ways people can get information that, and you mentioned our webpage. The other thing I would say, go to our webpage, and along the right-hand side, about halfway down, there's a spot where you can sign up for our newsletter. We put it out about 6 times a year, and our summer one will go out the end of May. You can sign up to receive that. You just put your email in. We don't sell your email address or anything.
spam.
We simply send you that newsletter. And whether you're a parent or a grandparent or a child care provider or healthcare provider, or maybe you're an aunt and you never intend to have your own kids, but you want to be a great aunt, know that that email will be, that newsletter is filled with lots of stuff, and it gets emailed right into your in basket.
Yes, and it is so good. So anything else, Karma, as we wrap up? I know you've got something every single day of the week, but any parting words, any words of advice to those out there?
Well, I would say this. As we start turning from winter into spring and summer, and this is kind of a sad thing, but the summer months are the 100 deadliest days of the year. And it's the time when kids are not in a, controlled environment of school. They're going to ball fields, they're riding bikes on their own, they're out there with risks of concussion or dehydration or pedestrian or getting hit on a bike or being in a pool and not having supervision and drowning and just so many things, right? And it's really our responsibility. We want kids to play and explore and have fun and do all the things kids do, but it's incumbent upon us as adults to make sure that those environments are safe. Can't watch them 24/7, but let's make the environment that they're living in, going to school and playing in, just really a safe one so they can go out and have the fun that kids are meant to have.
Yes, and teach them the stuff before and make it fun, make it fun and do that. My son said the other day, do I really need my helmet? And I said, yes, because you might get busted and get an ice cream cone. So,
yes, exactly.
So have fun with it. Well, I'm excited. I'm hoping we can make it on Saturday. It's always a fun thing for our family to do. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I can get you in touch if you're missing any of that. And I hope to see you out and about this weekend at the Safe Kids Hands-On Learning Fair. And I appreciate you coming in today.
Yeah, thank you. And I just want to give a shout out too to the men of Kappa Sigma at UND. They are coming on Thursday to load our trailers for us. And then on Saturday, they'll be helping to take everything down and unload it. And so we're really grateful to have helpers like that.
Yes.
And then our UND nursing students that come and work a lot of those booths. There are so many volunteers, whether it's the optimists doing the rodeo or all the people behind the scenes that are getting our stuff ready. We just have great community partners. So thanks for having us on. And for all your realty needs, check out Courtney.
Give me a holler.
Worked with her before in realty stuff. And
we have a good time.
Yeah, we appreciate the support that you give to Safe Kids.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Karma. Make sure with everything you do today, you safely put a fork in it. Have a good day.